with too much light.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Are we okay? Are we hungover? You're here, so that's a good start. It's Friday. Do we know how to party? I'm British, so I definitely know how to party, particularly when there's music, I find, as well. But today it isn't actually going to be about a party. It's going to be about a change. And something that I think we need to get our heads around is the fact that this room is pretty much empty. Yet what we're all claiming and believing, because we're all drinking the Kool-Aid, is what we're doing is incredibly exciting and it's changing the world. Really? Is it? Or is it just a few people in a room hoping that the world is going to change? So I think that's what we need to start addressing, and rather than some of these big, broad, lovely conversations, which maybe 3 years ago, just before we all hit that 2021, oh my goodness, this is amazing, we're here, we made it, wagga-me. We need to actually dive into some really good content. So I'm going to ask these guys here some difficult questions, and hopefully we can make them squirm a bit so that for your entertainment, this is going to be a little bit more useful. Larry.
Small disclaimer, we have no idea what the questions are.
No, they don't know what the questions are, because I literally made them up on the way over. That's basically how we roll here, right?
Yes.
Larry, we all understand, I think, why musicians need music on the blockchain, correct?
Yes, because actually then you know who your community is. If I have a song on a traditional thing like Tidal or Spotify, 1 million people might listen to it. They have the data, I don't. So what blockchain does is give me the power to be connected directly with my audience.
And that's very nice. And I agree that that's incredibly important, to lift new artists up as well as existing artists and give them some more freedom and control. But why, as a listener, do I care? That's the question.
Well, first of all, as a listener, from what I understand, and I think you and Scott will explain this, you and at Gala with the community have developed a way that I'd like to hear about, because I want to not only be a Gala artist, I want to be a Gala node or something like that you flip the script. Instead of consumers being like, instead of fans being like something to extract, like, from what I understand, the fans actually can generate income by being part of the Gala network, which is really what it should be.
This is good news.
This is what it should be, and it hasn't been ever. It's usually a Bruce Springsteen concert, you know, ticket levels, and suddenly it's on eBay for $9,000. Like, it's always extract from the user. From what I understand, and I want to know how, because I want to actually buy some servers and do it myself, that the listener actually is really a participant in the benefit of the artist, if that's correct.
Scott, is that correct? You work at Gala, so please get the answer right here.
Well,
it will be very awkward if you don't know
You know,
the
I would
answer.
say everybody has their own interpretation of what we're doing, right? First and foremost, you know, supporters are rewarded for participating in the ecosystem. But with that being said, I think what we have to do first is really realize how tough it is to put a value on music, right? For people. And that's been the most challenging thing, I think Bucks might agree, is, you know, the industry started selling format. So vinyl, 8-track, moved on to MP3s, $1.99, and so forth. And then it switched just to consumption pretty rapidly. I was a professor for 10.5 years, thought streaming was going to, you know, remove the payola initially. When I caught wind and really learned how blockchain was going to change almost every industry, I found her and sent her what she would say probably a very cheeky video. And within like 30 minutes, her assistant was like, you know, emailing me back and hey, yes, she wants to have an interview. Left my tenured position to join Gala over a year ago because I knew what she had in her brain bucks and everything else, and how, you know, we could, I knew it was going to be challenging, but that's what it's all about, right? So the most challenging part is creating that value. But we're actually doing both. We're selling format, and now with the new platform, it's into streaming. So it is extremely exciting. I am humbled to be a part of the journey, and if you haven't seen all the nodes and everything now, it's up and running, so it's paying off.
Woo! Woo!
I don't think you can whoop our own talk, but that's okay. So let me just give you a bit of a heads up as to what we're talking about when we talk about Gala Music. So we're quite happy right now not being that well known. So we're a little bit under the radar, or so we'd like to think we are. Gala Music is run by over 25,000 nodes. Now, a node, you can think of it as a host, essentially. So it means that people all over the world, literally all over the world, are able to host the content on a platform called IPFS, so the Interplanetary File System. It is as cool as it sounds. But basically what that means is it puts the host, people are leaving. Oi, hello, bye. It's fine. Not upset at all.
He doesn't have a node.
He doesn't have a node, clearly. Listen and earn, my friend, listen and earn. So there's 25,000 nodes which host tracks all over the world. And what that means is we can do a couple of things. It means that we can lift up artists who haven't been able to break through the traditional systems. So we work with an awful lot of record labels. We talk to people as we absolutely should. But more importantly, we're working with emerging artists. We run things like open mics. The platform will eventually be self-serve. It's quite highly curated right now. And an artist dropping on Gala Music, releasing a single track, will make more in one drop with Gala Music than 1 million streams on one of your traditional digital streaming platforms. That's important because not only are they keeping a huge proportion of that, it means that they can do one thing. They can be an artist. And if you go back to something we were talking about even 2 years ago, if you're on YouTube and you've got even 10,000 people that follow you, that want to listen to your content, that want to join in with what you're doing, if they could even give you $1 a month, that could be your job. But they can't. There's no way for them to give you $1 a month. And $1 a month for many people, luckily for a lot of people in the West, isn't that big a deal. So we got to thinking, like, you know, we've always tackled games. What does music look like on the blockchain? Not just for those artists, because the case for an artist is so abundantly clear, and we see it every day. And if you come into the Gala Games, or Gala Music, or Gala Film, indeed, Discords, you'll see that there's an authenticity there that cannot be faked by corporate bullshit or marketing. It's real people having real conversations and helping each other. So what does it mean for a customer? Well, I don't know, and I'm not judging anyone here, if you've ever heard of OnlyFans. But OnlyFans has 117 million users, or 170, I think, these days, million users registered. Look at Ticketmaster, over 100 million people registered. Even Avios, loyalty points, loyalty rewards, 50 million people are using that and registered every month. Tens of millions of people want access. They want rewards, they want recognition, and that's what Gala Music does. So if you support an artist early on, you get to take part in their future. They keep their rights are their own. For goodness sake, let's stop taking stuff away from artists, please. Let's stop doing that. But as their music is played and enjoyed by others, because you own that NFT, you get to share in that reward as well. And you get to join in on things like the All Access store. So we work with people like Snoop Dogg. We're very close to Snoop. He's brilliant. We get to work with people like Kings of Leon. So we're working with some big artists as well as emerging artists. And what you can do is you can interact with them on our platform. They pop into the Discord. They jump on Zoom calls. There's exclusive merchandise and things like that coming as well. So the fan experience is completely different. We are not trying to compete with Spotify. We never were. We're saying, why don't you use what they're doing and then add 5 or 6 other elements to it to make this music experience something it hasn't been for a long time, which is freaking magical, because that's what art is about. So talking about magic, Larry,
Yes.
you've got a bit of a magical background,
Yes, thank
we
you.
understand. And you've worked with some, as artists go, you've worked with some pretty iconic ones. Do you want to give a brief history of Larry and some of the amazing people we may or may not have heard of?
Sure. It's probably nothing, but you've heard of the Beach Boys, Sean Lennon, Brandy, Ricky Martin, Sammy Hagar, Bad Company, Bono, and David Bowie. And I am here for a very special reason, that when people say, shouldn't you be puttering in the garden? You've sold 30 million
You sound very
records."
British. Shouldn't you be pottering in the garden?
Yes, puttering in the garden, like somewhere in Cornwall, after having Grammy nods and selling 30 million records. And I tell people this, I say, when I walked into my first NFT.NYC, it felt like the Ramones at CBGB's, like you could cut the air with a knife. There was so much excitement because it was disruption. It was like fun, it was new, it was rebellious. And so there's a through line between what happens on the outside, the fringe of society that eventually gets pulled into the center, is right here, right now. And when I meet people who I teach at the London Songwriting Academy online, and there are students who just came here because I told them about it, I say, if you feel like you're too late, the party hasn't started yet. Like you're at the right place at the right time. All of you are at the right place at the right time.
So, David Bowie.
Yes.
We did an announcement in our social channels about a week or so ago, I think, talking about something very special that we're doing with David Bowie. Not him, obviously, directly, but in honor, really, of his legacy, of the legend, and of the icon that he was. And so I think where we've misstepped more than is probably forgivable in this space, actually, a few times, is we've gone to figure out what we can take based on the excitement that's swirling around it, based on people yeeting in and doing something without really thinking about it. And so what we wanted to do with the opportunity that we were presented with was to actually do exactly what you just mentioned there, Larry, which is, giving back to people, bringing people in. The party's not yet started, and we haven't cracked it. Nobody in this space has really cracked what the mass market appeal of this space, beyond the degens thinking it's amazing, really is. Because not many people actually care. So going back to the whole premise about how magical music could be, we were like, okay, well, how do we embody that? How do we make that real rather than just words on a page? And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to do something that was entirely free. We wanted to do something that for the people in this room, that if you know, you can get in on something that will cost you nothing, but could potentially give you something incredibly special. And that's kind of why David was a good person and a good individual as well as an artist to represent that, because he was always someone that pushed boundaries that you didn't even realize were actually there sometimes, that wasn't afraid to embody and defend and create something new. And I think that's what we're all doing in our own ways. We don't all have to be sat on a stage. We don't all have to be the CEO of a company. We don't all have to have the sexiest PFP on Twitter. Any move you make against what has already been accepted because you're brave enough to do it is important and it's exciting. And that's why we want to do something very cool around music and David Bowie. So more details are coming. We were going to release it, in fact, today. But as always, there's always things that go on under the surface, and we all try and be swans in this space. Our legs are kicking rapidly, but on the top, it all looks serene. So we're going to launch it on the 20th of April, because it will be exactly 20 years since the original track was released. So I think
let me just correct. Today is the 40th anniversary of the very original Let's Dance that Nile Rodgers produced, and the version of Let's Dance that I recorded as an original, not a remix, but an original different version that David came to me and said, I want to just do something different. I didn't really have control. I have a different take on it, a little more groovy, a little more atmospheric, a little more like, like whatever you just smoked is kicking in, and so the 20-year anniversary is on the 20th. And so we have 40 and 20, we have lots of numbers lining up, and it's something that has never been heard by the public before. It's very exciting.
Okay, and if you've been here, you might get an opportunity to have a bit of an advantage in order to get one of those tracks as well. So very beautiful collectible with a track that hasn't been heard before from David Bowie for $0. Although, because we're doing it for $0, there is this expression of pay it forward. And so if you would like to, and we would really like you to want to, you can give something for the track, and you're going to give that directly to Music Cares. The people that leaned in and helped many, many musicians through the pandemic particularly. And when we came on the stage, they mentioned Galaverse, and Galaverse was run in December 2021. And we employed over 48 different companies to pull that production off. It was the first event I ever did, debating whether I should ever do another one, to be honest. But what was interesting about that is the amount of creative people you could give work to and support and help, and people that hadn't worked for a long time because of the pandemic. So organizations like Music Cares, they really do, and they're very important to our ecosystem, particularly as we want to go into these new worlds, really. Scott, you are out of the entire Gala Music team, and you don't know that I think this, but I think you can be the pessimist and the cynic. You hold us to account, and you really dig in. What, in terms of what you're seeing in this space, makes you excited, one, and makes you concerned of something we need to sort ourselves out in order to really find the success that we're all looking for?
Okay, like I said, did not get briefed on the questions. But the hardest part is dealing with what's already been set up. Labels, publishers, people in control of certain assets. The technology has 100% the capability to allow artists to control what they want to do, when they want to do it, who they want to be able to use something. So, as it advances, that's going to be, I think, ultimately, I believe, ultimately, the most valuable part within entertainment, music, and so forth. And recently, we've seen everybody from Bieber to, a lot of big name artists selling their catalogs. My first question is why, right? Everybody, oh, well, 200 million sounds great, but is it because they've been advised that this is probably the peak? Because we are being flooded. It will continue to progress. Everybody can make a song at home. Who knows what the next big track is? While teaching, it was one of those things where I kind of got an insight to what was going to be big before it got big, because they were the ears on the ground, and a lot of it they could have put in front of me, and I would say never. But it's listening. So as far as the community goes, when we listen to like Discord and we interact, then we're able to kind of foresee what's coming and so forth. So that's probably the most challenging, is putting your own preferences and assumptions aside and making sure the data speaks for itself, and continuing just stuff moving forward. But the tokenization and ownership, by all means, is going to be the most valuable part.
And what are you most excited about for this year? Because I have a personal thing that I'm pretty excited about, and it begins with O, and it's one of these.
O?
Open.
Open mic? Yeah, open mic. So. So open mic's this awesome opportunity that Bucks and I think that first and foremost, like jumping into this over a year ago, if it's an idea and it has support, leadership is like run as fast as you can and do it, and it's awesome because they believe in the team and who they have, and we have, as I see everybody here from Julian to Taco and and so forth, and Blake, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of crazy, because then Buck's like, what's going on? You know, like, but open mic is this opportunity for emerging artists, and we have a really cool activation that'll also involve VCon and, you know, some extra. I can't spoil that one now. You know, I'm not a leaker, so but if you come to open mic, we're having one in Brooklyn tomorrow at Tower Records. For emerging artists, there's still room to sign up, and we don't like to say winners, but chosen ones will then, you know, advance, and there's an opportunity that'll put them in front of a really good audience. It's exciting.
A very big audience. Yeah, so you can go from singing on a mic, in a mic, you can't sing in a mic.
You can sing, just sing.
To a mic, there we go.
Or a John, or a
Yeah,
Bill, or
whoever you like.
Michael.
Yeah, indeed. So you come and sing. The rules are as follows, really easy. It has to be your own content. So this isn't karaoke, this is singer-songwriters. We would really love some bands to come out. And if you've got talent and you can get the support, and our community is one of the best, most supportive communities out there, and I know this because I fall on my face constantly, and they seem to think it's okay, and they forgive me and let me have another go. So our community is incredibly supportive, and what we've seen, even from the open mic that we ran in LA, we had 4 artists that went through and launched tracks on Gala Music, and every single one of them has done incredibly well. And I'm not just talking about selling out tracks and the money they've made. Of course they've done that. But actually, it's the next tracks that they're producing, and the amount of interaction they're having with the community, and the fact that they're collaborating, they're going to each other's events, they're building their social followings. They've got this entire support network that they've just discovered, and they haven't had to give up anything in order to access it, because that support network is getting rewarded as well for their support. So if you do have a little bit of time, or you know somebody that you think, they just need a shot. And it's not like I know I'm British, but it's not a Simon Cowell, you make it or you die. Like, it's not that. We're not pitting people against each other. If you've got talent and you know, you can get that support, you can be on Gala Music, and we will be there, and we will help you, and we will lean in whenever we can to ensure that you have the career that you deserve to have. So Tower Records, tomorrow, open mic. I feel like that's the plug. Larry, you should sign off. We're going to get kicked off the stage.
Yes,
Look.
we're about to get kicked off the stage. And what I want to say, you know, I've been in the music business for a little while, and I've been on major labels. I've opened for Queen on tour with my bands. I've worked with the people who were my heroes growing up. And even in Web3, with the project you mentioned about David Bowie, there were a lot of people who wanted to do it and do it wrong. And the reason why I came out of working with such an iconic artist that I carry water buckets for is just that I found the best team of people. And this is sincere with Sarah and Scott and Blake and Taco and others. I could get different, but not better. And so I'm really honored. I'm really thrilled to be helping you co-brand and co-create the future, and it's exciting. So, as we say, let's go. Let's go. Let's dive.
And for anybody that says NFTs are dead, what was the sellout yesterday? And how long? A couple minutes? Yeah, less than a couple minutes. So, you know, music NFTs selling.
Yeah, as Yogi Bear says, that place is so packed, nobody goes there anymore. Let's go. Let's give him a big hand.
Thank you.